Welcome to Wide Eye Sports, where every play, every moment, and every decision gets broken down like never before. The lights are on, the stakes are high, and it all starts right here, right now.
Brenner Mills, Minnesota Vikings. Just want to win one before I die.
Dalton's on record, Dallas Cowboys. Just trying to earn a little respect.
Lane Cooner, the conductor of the Baker train.
Welcome into Wide Eye Sports, ladies and gentlemen. We got Brenner hosting as always. We got Dalton Spoon on the mic. How you boys doing?
Great, man.
Ready to break down some Pro Football Focus free agency grades?
Yes, sir.
Love it.
Ready to talk about it? So
We just go in alphabetical order.
Yeah. If you clicked on the video, the reason you're here is to watch us, experts, couch quarterbacks, react and go over the Pro Football Focus reaction to about the first week of free agency, week and a half of free agency, if you count tampering or however you want to look at it. So without further ado, we're going to go in alphabetical order. I'm looking at the screen here for Pro Football Focus and all their grades and everything. I'm going to give out three things at the very top of their list. They say Vikings earned top marks. Vikings had a great free agency. Pressure on the Texans ahead of the draft. I'm just reading from their list, not cherry picking. Not cherry picking here. Pressure on the Texans ahead of the draft. They've traded away a lot of O-linemen, and they need O-line help before that. So I don't really know what they're going to do. And then the 2025 draft is here, and we will be doing a mock draft later this week, our 3.0. So make sure to tune into that. And then let's get into this. You guys ready? We'll start with the Arizona Cardinals. Pro Football Focus gave them a B. They brought in Dalvin Tomlinson, LJ Collier, Zay Jones, Jacoby Brissett, Josh Sweat, big one there, and Baron Browning. Any thoughts? Anything magical? Anything not so magical? Anything you love? Anything you hate? We won't deep dive each team. These are just reacting to the grades. Quick thoughts on the teams. What do you guys think?
The Josh Sweat signing was pretty huge. They need a lot of help on defense, and I think that's kind of where they went here. They went with a lot of defensive players, so they should be taking
Collier and Tomlinson and Sweat all in the trenches.
So they should be taking a step. I almost said a sweat forward.
A sweat in the right direction.
They're taking a step forward here, I believe, with their defense. Offense still has some questions. That's probably why they graded them a B, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. I think they did a nice job improving some areas of need. They got a draft ahead, so they didn't win the offseason necessarily, but a sweat in the right direction.
Sweat in the right direction.
I'd like to see some sort of some more production from the Cardinals, because I really feel like they just it was really quiet about them. You know, they didn't really, the expectations weren't high, but they also didn't go.
Yeah, they needed their defense to step up, and it didn't, and so they're making some moves.
I thought I predicted them to win a couple more games than they did last year for sure.
We thought their defense would take a step forward.
Yeah, and that did not happen.
The Atlanta Falcons, they signed edge Leonard Floyd. They signed cornerback Mike Hughes. They didn't really make many moves outside of that, and they gave him a C. I would give him a D. I think they need to
lower.
They need to move Kirk Cousins. You can't. They just paid the dude $10 million in his contract bonus to sit on their bench. Like, you cannot be paying this man money to sit on your bench. You owe him hundreds of millions of dollars. You need to move on from this guy.
There's plenty of teams out there that have a lot of cap space that would take on that salary.
The New York Giants would absolutely take that on.
Yep.
The Vikings would take it on just to have Kirk as a backup. We have plenty of cap space just laying around. We'll take Kirk in a third-round pick and take on his salary for 2025. Just have him as a backup.
Man, the fact that he's just getting paid to sit on a bench at this point is just so sad for me, because
getting paid $110 million to sit on that bench.
And he doesn't want to do that, man. He wants to play for somebody, and now it's just going to be a year that he just doesn't get to throw his hat in the ring.
Yep, and he's older too. He's like 34. Yeah. Not getting any younger.
Haven't made many moves though, so yeah.
I'm saying D. I'm saying D at best, maybe even an F if you don't move Kirk during the offseason. But as of right now, a solid D for me. They gave him a C. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens. They gave the Baltimore Ravens Actually, I'll hold that till the end. They signed DeAndre Hopkins, which I think is a good move. Everybody's making fun of the wide receiver graveyard that is the Baltimore Ravens franchise. Ronnie Stanley. I think that's a really good move, locking up your left tackle.
Yeah.
I think it's a good move. I liked it. They gave him a B minus. I would give him a B. They bring in a veteran wide receiver who just played in the Super Bowl, and then they lock up their left tackle with Derrick Henry and Lamar, who just had an MVP caliber season.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
This is a team that didn't really need to make a whole lot of moves, but the two guys that they did sign were really high graded, really good athletes. So I'm fine with that.
Going to be key contributors next season in a Super Bowl run.
Key starters they definitely needed.
Yep. So next up, the Buffalo Bills. They go out, they sign some defensive line guys. They bring back DeMar Hamlin. Their big signing was Joey Bosa.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I feel like the Bills keeping DeMar Hamlin is just kind of like it's like a showy thing at this point. You know what I mean?
So I see what you're saying, but I think it's more of he didn't have a market and he knows the system. He's a good backup guy. I think he can contribute to their team.
Yeah, because they didn't sign him for a whole lot. They only signed him for like $3 million.
Yeah.
1 year, $3 million.
$2 million guaranteed. Basically, a little bit more than a vet minimum contract. Like, he's just a roster guy who's there because he knows the system, mentor young guys, good in the locker room, that kind of thing.
And he also died playing for the team, so like they kind of, I feel like
they kind of owe him.
Just a little.
But yeah, the big signing being Joey Bosa, 1 year, $12 million guaranteed. It's a $12.6 million contract. Why don't you just guarantee the last $600,000 of it? Why you gotta hold out if you're the Bills? They graded it as a average deal. Couple below average deals. They bring in Josh Palmer, who replaces Mac Hollins in their offense, in my opinion. I like that deal. 2 years, $15 million, $10 million guaranteed. Not terrible. Worst case scenario, it's $5 million, or best case scenario, it's $5 million a year. Worst case it's $7.5 a year. I'm not hating on that deal. Palmer's shown he can be a role player in an offense for a couple different teams, so not hating on it. The Carolina Panthers go out.
You didn't say they're great, did you?
Oh, sorry. I thought I did. They gave the Buffalo Bills an A- for that, and I will give them. I think it has a lot to do with the Bosa signing.
Yeah, but all their signings are average or below average, and there's only 5 of them. I would probably just give them like a B or a B plus.
And they locked up Josh Allen, and they locked up Khalil Shakir. So I think with those moves added in, they get the A-.
Okay.
So next up, Carolina Panthers. They got a B. They sign Cowboys legend Rico Dowdle. Sorry, a little chest there. They lock up punter Sam Martin, center Brady Christensen, defensive interior Bobby Brown II, edge Patrick Jones II, couple other guys. Nobody who's like going to be a huge name. They lock up J.C. Horn. They get back Mike Jackson, lock those guys up in their cornerback room. So they did some things outside of free agency that helped, but I really feel like they added some good depth pieces. Dalton's having a sneezing fit. That's hilarious. They added up some key roster spots that will help fill out their team and be good when guys inevitably get hurt. Guys inevitably have to miss games. They won't miss a beat. I like the moves. They get a B, as I stated. So I think it could be a B plus, but I'm not mad at a B. Not mad at a B. Spoon, you mad at a B?
No, I'm fine with a B.
Cool.
Signed a bunch of people.
Dalton, you okay over there?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm good.
The Chicago Bears are next up on the clock here. They lock up long snapper Scott Daly. That's right. Long snapper. That's the biggest move they made. No, just kidding.
No.
They go out, they get Grady Jarrett, huge signing for them. Surprise cut the morning of free agency. They go out and lock him up. Great deal for them. Deo Odenigbo, I believe is how you say that. We've talked about it. I'm terrible with names. 3 years, $48 million. I've talked about this. I'm not huge on it. He has not had the sack production that I think is warranted by a 4-year, $70 million deal with $42 million guaranteed. Or, well, he got 3 years, $48 million, but PFF projected him at 4 years, $70 million. I don't know. 3 years, $48 million, just a lot for a guy who had like 2.5 sacks. I don't love it. I don't love it. Everybody else loves it. He's their number 2 behind Sweat, which I think is fair. He would be a number 2 on any team he signed with. Number 2 edge rusher. I don't love it. I don't love it. And maybe I'm being biased as a Vikings fan. Spoon, do you like this move?
I mean, I don't hate the move. They got him cheaper than what he probably should have went for, or a little cheaper. So and it's only 3 years. I don't hate it. I mean, they definitely needed a little help on the defense, or they didn't need a whole lot of help. But I think that this kind of solidifies their defense, makes it a little better.
Yeah, it's just he's you're giving a guy $15-16 million a year that's had 3 sacks. He had 8 sacks in 2024, but that was only starting 1 game. So as soon as he got a starting role and wasn't just a pure edge rusher, he dropped from 8 sacks to 3. So I don't know. I'm not huge on it.
He's still young too. He's only 25.
Yeah, well, he'll be 26. He played in Indianapolis where they were behind a lot in games. He had a chance to pin his ears back and just go get guys and still couldn't do it. So I don't know. We'll see. It feels like a very Bears move to me. They go out and they get Drew Dahlman, who I think was a great signing. He's very expensive. I think they paid a lot of money for him, but he's one of the best centers in the league. Deserves all of his money. Do I think there are better values on the market? Yes. Do I think he was the best available player at center? Yes. And they paid for it. I think 3 years, $42 million, not the worst deal in the world, but it is a lot for a center. I do. The Bears walked away with an A- via Pro Football Focus. I like it. They get Joe Tooney, who they traded for. Sorry, I lost my headphones there for a second. I apologize. Hit the cord. But yeah, I like the Bears offseason. They had a really good offseason. They're one of the top 3 teams this offseason for sure. In the free agency for sure, in my opinion. We move on to Cincinnati. We're going to kind of streamline these. I'm taking a little long. I'm talking a little too much. I apologize. Good, Cincinnati Bengals lock up T. Higgins, who's technically a free agent. Jamar Chase deal, he's not a free agent, not counted in this. They walk away with a B+. They get Marco Williams, Joseph Asai, TJ Slayton, BJ Hill locking up in that interior of their line. They put T. Higgins on this list twice. No clue why. Maybe they love him that much. And then they get Mike Gesicki back on a 2-year or a 3-year, $25 million deal. I think that's a lot for Gesicki. I don't like him that much. He's a great role player and a great tight end too. He's not a tight end 1 in the NFL in my opinion. But yeah, any thoughts?
So I'm seeing the notes here. It said that it originally was a C+, but since they extended Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it bumped their grade up to a B+. I don't like that at all. I think B+ is too high. I think they needed a lot of help on defense, and they signed
an F.
They signed some players on defense, but nobody that's
contributors.
Nobody that's going to help them that much at all. So basically, they're going with, hey, you know what? We're just going to keep being offensive heavy and just hope that it gets us even into the playoffs by doing that. I don't like it. I would personally grade them maybe a C-, maybe because they did sign some defensive help, and I mean no big names by any means. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, he ranked 30th out of 219 D tackle. BJ Hill ranked 30th. I think that was their best defensive signing. I think this is terrible. I think the Bengals are literally shipwrecking their franchise. We can talk more about this in a later video, but paying 2 wide receivers, they're paying them $60, almost $70 million between the 2 of them per year, plus Joe Burrow, who's going to be, making $60 million, $50 million a year.
Yep.
I think you're paying 3 dudes almost $130 million to play for your franchise. Terrible idea. Absolutely god awful. It's the thing I'm scared for you two that the Cowboys are going to do with Micah and go give him a bag, and then you're having 3 dudes taking up 40 to 50% of your salary cap, and you're just a garbage franchise. But anyways, next up, the Cleveland Browns. They go get some defensive line help and Malik Collins and Joe Tyron. And then I don't see a whole lot other here. They bring in Kenny Pickett, which I kind of, good backup, I guess. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. Yeah,
Didn't they sign Jameis Winston too?
No, Jameis is still a free agent.
For the Browns?
Yeah. Jameis Winston's still a free agent. He hasn't signed anywhere yet. He took a visit to the Giants yesterday.
Weird.
But they signed linebacker Devin Bush, which is a good move. And then I assume they will add a young edge rusher in the draft. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So they walk away with I said it C+. I give them like a D. You guys,
I'm fine with a C+ or anywhere between a C+ and a D. That's about right where they're at.
I think you need to get your way out of that Deshaun Watson contract for me to even begin to bring you up to a C. So until then, D.
That's fair.
The Dallas Cowboys. What do you think they gave you guys?
I see what they gave us. I don't hate it, but I think it could be a little better.
Dalton, what do you think they gave you guys?
I mean, probably a C-.
Wow. They gave you a C-. They gave you a C-.
That's what we do every year, man. It's a C- every year. We don't do well in free agency. I mean, when we signed Brandon Cooks like 2 or 3 years ago, whatever, I was like, whoa, we're bringing in some veteran wide receiver help over here. And then since then, nothing.
Yeah, Solomon Thomas has not been what people thought he would be in the NFL. He hasn't. I'm looking through his stats here real quick, going through. He hasn't. I mean, the last time he posted a Pro Football Focus grade of over, and Pro Football Focus grades aren't like the end all be all. It's just a quick metric for us to use while we're doing this. I do like them, but like I said, not the end all be all. The best grade he's ever posted is a 62.5, which is slightly below average. So he didn't pan out super well in previous spots. They bring him in. I don't hate that move for depth. I don't love it. Kenneth Murray coming in to be a linebacker. You guys lose Eric Kendricks, so that's 1-for-1 there. I think they're about similar players. Robert Jones comes in at guard for you guys. I think you guys address the running back really well. I think you guys have a nice little duo at running back there.
Yep.
Kavontre Turpin, he comes back as your wide receiver 2. I think he's more of a wide receiver 3 in the NFL. Dalton, I know you disagree. But
he wants to be he wants to be a multi-threat guy. He doesn't want to have a position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he wants to be a Percy Harvin, but he's just not that guy, in my opinion. I know you kind of disagree.
I'm very happy to have him back.
I think he is an elite level speed threat, and I think that's where his threat ends. I think if you can get him in space and let him work and utilize his speed, or get him in man coverage and let him utilize his speed, I think it's a great use. I don't think you can just put him out on an island and be like, hey, go work. Don't think he's that guy.
Okay.
But we can talk about more of that later on in another video.
I was gonna say I think you can move it up to a C+. I don't hate what the Cowboys did. We actually made some moves in the offseason. We actually signed some guys, so I was very happy about that. I actually like the signing of Javonte Williams. I like the signing of Osa. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Odigizua. Yeah. I think we got him a little cheaper than what the market was asking for, so I don't hate that signing by any means. Yeah, I mean, I think a C+ is definitely what we could have had right here compared to what the other teams are doing.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. Denver Broncos are up next. We're going to streamline this. I really like their offseason. They get an A. One of the top 3 teams up there with the Bears. Evan Ingram comes in to play a pivotal role in that offense. That's going to be fantastic. Evan Ingram is a elite level route runner at tight end who can run very short underneath routes at a very high level, very Travis Kelce, and is elite after the catch as a tight end. And that will be huge for Bo Nix, who thrives with that type of player, a player who he can get the ball too short and quickly and let them work with the ball. That will be a great fit for them. Sean Payton gets his joker, is what they call it, in his offense. It's, just the Jimmy Graham role from a few years back, just, that kind of thing. They bring in Trent Sherfield, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga from the 49ers, the safety. Sorry, I got a cough. Those are two big free agents. We talked about the Greenlaw thing. I wasn't a huge fan of that because I don't like his mentality. Hufanga's good. Sherfield's good. Sherfield's a great blocking wide receiver. He was our wide receiver 4 in Minnesota, and he really should have been our wide receiver 3. He saw a lot of snaps run blocking. A lot of snaps run blocking. So yeah, I like their overall offseason so far. It's been really good. They've made a lot of good moves. They've improved their team.
Yep.
They have one of the, if not the best defense in the NFL right now. They're going to be a force next year with Greenlaw, Hufanga.
They had one of the best defenses, and they just made it better.
Yeah, they just improved. So next up, Detroit Lions. They go out, lock up their defensive tackle. They go get DJ Reed, who may have been the best cornerback on the market outside of maybe Byron Murphy. Derek Barnes, they lock up at linebacker. Roy Lopez, another interior guy, not huge for them. No, not a huge ordeal. But they get a B, and I think that's fair. I think they did a lot of really good moves in free agency that, help fill out their roster. But I don't feel like they brought in a legitimate star or anything. They didn't go trade for Myles Garrett. They didn't do anything crazy. But they brought in quite a few key pieces to depth that will help them continue to be a good team if the coaching holds up.
I mean, they clearly made some moves on the side of the ball that they needed to make moves on. I'd give them a B+, honestly.
Yeah, but they
don't need to make any moves on offense. They did exactly what they needed to do. They went out and signed some decent talent on defense to help them out. I'm completely fine with how they handled their offseason.
They need some help at right guard now. They lost their right guard. They need some help at wide receiver 2 because Jamison Williams is getting ready to bust out of the league, considering he doesn't have Ben Johnson to create space and call plays specifically made for him to get him open. I think their wide receiver 1, their running backfield, their tackles, all elite. Quarterback set, obviously Goff played really well. I don't know without Ben Johnson how the rest of that offensive depth looks. The Green Bay Packers, they bring in cornerback Nate Hobbs, guard Aaron Banks. They don't really do anything crazy. They got a C+. I don't hate it. They never really do much in free agency. They like to play the comp pick game and do, a lot of guys leave, very few guys come in. They fill it in with draft picks over the years. That's what they've always done. That's what they'll continue to do. Anybody got any?
I mean, I'd grade them like a D, honestly. I don't think they're not doing a whole lot at all.
Yeah.
I feel like they're losing more than they're gaining right now.
Yeah, but that's what they do. That's what I just said. They play the comp pick game where they lose more than they gain, so that they get it back in draft capital in following seasons. And I think that's the strategy they go with throughout the years for Green Bay. Next up, the Houston Texans, which is kind of confusing to me because I think they had an absolutely god-awful free agency so far. Not that this is part of free agency, but you trade away Laramie Tunsil, right? You give him up. You then trade for Ed Ingram, who, let me tell you, is a revolving door at right guard. That dude gets... I mean, the thing he's known for in Minnesota is stepping on the quarterback's feet. That's what he's known for. I was so stoked. The fact that we got a pick for him blew my mind. I mean, blown away. But then they go out and get Mario Edwards, who hasn't really played well in a few years. He's older now. Guard Laken Tomlinson, another guy who I'm not super high on. Pro Football Focus had him at a 62 overall grade last year. He's average at best for a guard. He's not anything special. He can be a Band-Aid fix, but not anything special. They get him at a below average deal. CJ Gardner-Johnson, who they bring in, who I think when he doesn't play with elite cornerbacks around him is Swiss cheese and is the biggest trash talker in the league unjustly next to Jair Alexander, who I also can't stand. And then Jake Hansen, Darrell Taylor, and then Braxton Berrios, a bunch of mid to low level guys who I don't even know make your roster this season.
I mean, I think Jake Hansen's a decent signing at linebacker.
I'm not I mean, he's a plug. I don't love it. I don't love it. I think they are at an F right now for me this offseason.
I don't
They have
hate
a
it.
C minus, so I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Any thoughts?
No.
All right, cool. The Indianapolis Colts, they gave him a B. They bring in Neville Gallimore, Daniel Jones, Tre'Davious Ward, and Cam Bynum are two. They shore up that secondary. That secondary is going to look really good. However, they lost both their 10-year starting all-pro center and they lost their young stud right guard to the Minnesota Vikings. But that offensive line is going to need some work. They don't have anybody waiting in the wings. I don't know how they're going to address that. I see this more as a C because they brought in a lot of good guys, but they lost quite a few good guys. So
Yeah. I think B's a little high for him.
Yeah, B's a little high. I see it as a C, maybe a C plus for like locking down that secondary. I could see a C plus. I don't think, this being a Vikings fan, I don't think Cam Bynum is this elite safety. I think he's a great free safety, very rangy, can play long. I think he's a liability in the run game, and he is a peak level locker room guy, right? Like he brings an aura to your locker room that you want your defense to have from a continuity and vibe standpoint. He is elite. His play is good, not great. So he was around a lot of talent. He earned his money. Don't get me wrong. He played well, but he played well being a free safety that didn't have to fit in the run game, that was allowed to just be rangy and athletic in the deep center field. He can't do everything, and they paid him like he can. Jacksonville Jaguars. They got a C plus. They bring in Robert Hainsey, center. They bring in tight end Hunter Long, guard Patrick McCarry. That's a good pickup in my opinion. Johnny Munt, best tight end 3 in the league according to Kevin O'Connell. Safety Eric Murray, not a huge thing. Dewami Brown, which I kind of like, that's underrated, and Jordan Lewis, who I'm not as big a fan of, but we'll see. I could be wrong on that, but they get a C plus.
Best year last year.
Exactly. One year. I'm just not a huge fan yet. Not hating on it. He had a 71 Pro Football Focus grade. I'm not hating on it. I'm not saying like he's garbage. How could they do this? I'm just not 100% sold of like this dude is a lockdown corner. This dude is
So you probably think they definitely overpaid him 3 year, $30 million.
I don't think they overpaid him by any means. It's only $10 million a year. I'm not saying that. I'm just not sold on him as a legitimate NFL starter until I see it for another year. That's all I'm saying. $10 million, not the biggest waste of money ever. Do I think 2 years, $20 million is more my ballpark? Yeah. $10 million average, not terrible. Guys are making $10 million all over the roster in the NFL nowadays. It's crazy. Kansas City Chiefs, B minus. They get Kristen Fulton. They get Elijah Mitchell. Kind of an underrated signing there because he's played well at times. Jalen Moore. Marquise Brown they bring back. Nick Bolton is huge. Fucking huge for them. That dude is the quarterback of their defense. He is the soul of that. Not true. He's not the soul. Chris Jones is the soul. He is the heart of that defense, right? He is so good at what he does. He affords them the luxury of having a off the ball elite linebacker that goes so underrated in my opinion. And then they, Trey Smith, they franchise tag and bring him back. So, like all those moves, I think one of the best teams in the NFL did enough to, B plus in my opinion. So, B minus, I'm not hating on, but I think it could be a little higher. I don't think they had a bad offseason, but I think they had a good offseason so far. Any thoughts?
I agree. As much as I hate to say it, I feel like they definitely did a good job at, filling the need and keeping the guys that are good and make plays on their roster.
Mm-hmm. Spoon, any thoughts or move on?
Yep, you're good.
All right, cool.
I think it's a good grade. So
yeah, the Raiders bring in Raheem Mostert, which I low key like.
I do kind of like that signing, especially for 2.1 mil.
Yeah,
that's
not a bad
at
deal.
all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Little old, but not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Eric Stokes, he didn't play extremely well last year, but he's played well in the past. We'll see what they get out of him. Brought in some defensive help, Jeremy Chin at the safety position, some plug and play guys in the box, linebacker, edge. So B's a little high for me in my opinion. Like Raheem Mostert isn't going to come in and lead the league in touchdowns, and Eric Stokes isn't going to come in and be Sauce Gardner. So B's a little high. I would say like a C plus for me, but and you trade for Geno Smith, which I was not a fan of at all, but a lot of people were. I would have much rather signed Sam Darnold for $30 million a year than have Geno Smith, who wants 40 a year. Like the Seahawks went to Geno and were like, we'll pay you 35 to 40 a year, and Geno was like, kick rocks, I'm worth more than that. Like, no, you are not. And then the Raiders give up draft capital for that guy. Not a big fan of that. Los Angeles Chargers, B- here. They bring back Mike Williams, reunion. Bradley Bozeman at center, Najee Harris, which is one of the most underrated signings this season, in my opinion. I think he will be an absolute unit for Jim Harbaugh. I almost said John Harbaugh. Tier Tart. He's played well in the past. He's not going to come in and be a all-pro, but he's going to come in and be a contributor. Deontay Jackson replaces Asante Samuel Jr., and then they bring back Khalil Mack, which anytime you can have Khalil Mack on your roster, I think it's a good thing. Any thoughts, Spoon? We lost Dalt for a sec.
We lost him?
Yeah, he's gone for a sec. He had to step away.
Yeah. I mean, I might go a little lower, maybe.
A little lower?
But
okay.
Yeah.
I think they did well. I like the Los Angeles Rams get an A-. They bring in Coleman Shelton, center, who had a 68.6 grade last year. They have not announced the full contract details, but it's a 2-year deal. They traded away their center to the Bears, so they go out and address a position of need. It's a good job. Puna Ford. I don't know if you saw the Kelsey brothers podcast about Puna Ford. You see that?
I did not.
So they asked Jason Kelsey, who was like a guy that like he hated going against, and Puna Ford was one of the guys. He's like, I hated going against Puna Ford because he's like, I'm shorter, and I have long arms. So if I'm shorter than you, then or if you're taller than me, I have longer arms than you, so I can reach you. And if you're shorter than me, then I'm taller than you, so I have the advantage now, right? Puna Ford was a guy who was taller than him and had longer arms than him, so he had no advantage over him. So he's like, I hated going against Puna Ford. Dude, it made me work every play. So classic Jim Harbaugh guy. 3 years, $30 million, 17 guaranteed. I like the signing. Jimmy Garoppolo, great, or Jim Harbaugh guy. I said Jim Harbaugh. We're talking about the Rams. This is Sean McVay.
Yep. You're good.
Jimmy, lots of names here. Jimmy Garoppolo comes back. Aldrick Jackson, good tackle, played really well last year. I really like it. It's a 3 years, $57 million, $30 million guaranteed. Like that deal. And then the big one, Devontae Adams. You go out and you move on from Cooper Kupp and bring in Devontae Adams. I still don't know why. I don't like it at all. You're bringing in an older receiver who does essentially very similar things, not the same. I think Devontae Adams, we've talked about this on the show, he wins with his quickness, and Cooper Kupp wins with his full route tree. And Devontae Adams runs some dirty routes, don't get me wrong, and they're clean. I think Cooper Kupp's one of the best route runners in the league, period. I don't understand the cutting of Cooper Kupp to bring in Devontae Adams to save $4 million. I really don't get it. Who knows? Maybe I'm crazy and Devontae Adams goes off and has a 1,700-yard year with Puka Nacua next to him. But everybody's acting like, oh my God, now they have Devontae Adams. And I'm like, bro, they had Cooper fucking Kupp. Cooper Kupp won a triple crown in this offense. Like, are we just going to pretend like that guy's just not good? Like, and he's younger? I don't understand it.
He is a little injury prone.
Anytime you have Devontae Adams in your wide receiver room, it's a good thing. So I'm not hating on the move, just don't understand the trade-off there. The Miami Dolphins get a C+. They bring in Nick Westbrook-Akine. He had like 9 touchdowns in the past 10 weeks of last season or something crazy like that. You remember that, Spoon? He like exploded in fantasy football.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I picked him up off the waiver. I remember that.
Yeah, he comes in 2 years, $6.5 million. I think it's a great steal. Other than that, they didn't have any huge offseason signings other than they add Zach Wilson to the quarterback room at $6 million a year. C plus, it's fine with me. I'm fine with C plus, maybe a C. All right, next up, my boys, the Minnesota Vikings, and you guys need to keep me on task here and not let me babble on for 10 minutes.
We
about
already
the
know
Vikings,
you are.
please. No, I'm
Let's
asking
just
you that if I start doing
roll
it,
through it. We don't need
Yep.
to. We don't need to spend too much time on it. Harrison
See, that's
Smith,
what I'm trying to
Ron
accomplish.
Hargrave,
We
Will
bring-
Fries.
we bring
all,
in Harrison Smith.
There aren't. If you're asking me, there aren't any bad names on here. I'm
Yeah,
not. If I'm a Vikings fan, I'm not upset with a single one of these signings.
No.
I have been. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll through them. Harrison Smith comes back, 1 year, $10 million deal. Love it. Javon Hargrave comes in, played. Was hurt last year, hasn't played at an elite level, but plays at a really good level. Will Fries, young stud, great offensive guard. Jonathan Allen, older, great defensive pass rusher from the interior. Byron Murphy locked up. Ryan Kelly, all-pro center. Isaiah Rodgers, one of the best man coverage guys in the league from the Philadelphia Eagles, who were Super Bowl champions. And we bring back Aaron Jones and trade for Jordan Mason. And I think we have one of the best running back duos in the league now. And we got an A+. And I agree. I don't feel like this team has any holes now beyond the unknown of most people not knowing about JJ McCarthy yet, and cornerback too. I feel like those are our only two weaknesses, and one of them I think JJ is going to be so good. So we'll move on. The New England Patriots get a B+. They go get Matt Collins. They go pay for Milton Williams. His projected contract was like 22 a year, and they gave him 26 a year. They paid for that man. I don't know how it's going to work out yet. I wasn't a huge fan of overpaying him because he was a rotation guy. He was never a starter. So you reset the D-tackle market for a guy who has shown when he's in a backup role can succeed. That's a little iffy to me. Morgan Moses, I like. Carlton Davis, I like. Harold Landry III, I love. The Pro Football Focus wasn't super high on him, but I think that's a great fit in New England with Mike Vrabel. And they get a overall grade of a B+. I definitely think this could be an A-. Maybe I'm crazy, but I definitely think this could be an A-.
I 100% agree.
I think the only thing I don't like they did was paying Milton Williams $4 million extra, but at the end of the day, it's $4 million extra a year. Like, if that's your breaking point. The New Orleans Saints, they get a B-. They bring in safety Justin Reed from the Chiefs. They re-sign Chase Young. Jawan Johnson comes in at tight end. I don't think they did anything phenomenal here. They're still paying the piper for all those, late 2010s years with the salary cap and all that jazz. B+ or B- is high for me. I like him at a C. That's where I stand.
Yeah.
You guys like it?
Yeah, and plus with, re-signing Derek Carr, trying to move some money around, that's not too bad of a move, but I'm still, they still didn't do too great.
Watch out for the Saints. Watch out for the Saints. They're gonna be like a 7-win football team this year. I think they'll claw back up.
Surprise some people.
Yeah, I think people have them at like a 4-win team. I think they'll be like a 7-win team. The New York Giants get a B. They bring in some offensive line help, some defensive line help, a cornerback. They go out and they get Chauncey Golston on the edge. They sign Javon Holland, who was like the premier safety. He is I talked about how Cam Bynum is a great free safety. He's a great strong safety. He can do it all. He can play free safety range. He can tackle. He can play slot cornerback. He can do all of it. He can rush the passer. I really like Javon Holland. Great signing. I don't think B is too high or too low. I like it. Any thoughts? Okay. The New York Jets, B-. They bring in Josh Myers, Andre Sisco, cornerback Brandon Stevens, who Pro Football Focus was not high on, and they gave him, $12 million a year. Not a fan of that. And then they bring in Jamin Sherwood, I think is how you say that. Jamin. And then obviously the big one, Justin Fields. Not a fan of that one at all. I think, yeah, we're going to do Justin Fields film breakdown here in a couple weeks. So just tune into that to find out my opinion on Justin Fields.
I think they gave him kind of a high score. I don't think it's a B by any means, but
I think it's like a C minus.
Yeah.
I think if you're bringing in Justin Fields to be your starting quarterback, he's had the opportunities. He's had every chance to succeed. He got to work with Tomlin. Like, he's not the guy people thought he would be. It's just that simple. Philadelphia Eagles, they get a B minus. They bring in some guys who were on the team last year who come back. Zach Bond, a couple other key contributors on lesser deals. They bring back Kenneth Gainwell. They bring in a new guard to replace Mekhi Beckman. And, you know, they have them at a B minus. I think that's fair. I don't think they improved their team, but I think they kept the course. And because of that, slightly above average. You guys agree?
I like it.
Pittsburgh Steelers also get a B minus. You bring in Mason Rudolph as a backup, an emergency QB if you don't sign Rodgers or Russ, which I don't love, but you got to have a plan. Darius Slay jumps into that cornerback room, peak level mental guy, can't play as well anymore, but still really good guy to have in the locker room. Malik Harrison, Pro Football Focus wasn't as high on him. I'm not dialed on him, but he's a good locker room guy. And then you go out and you trade for DK Metcalf, which is good move. Good move. You overpaid him, but good move. I don't think he's necessarily like better than T. Higgins. I'd say they're similar level, and he's making just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. DK is a guy who I think should be the best receiver in the league because of his physical talents, and he is not because he's lazy and he has concentration drops, and he's definitely a guy who's going to show up. He's going to work hard in practice, but then he's going to go home. He's not going to stay. Yeah. He's not going to work that extra minute or that extra hour. He's not going to do all those things, and that's why Seattle moved on from him. They're aware of his shortcomings, but physical freak, has all the tools to be the best receiver in the league. Very similar to George Pickens in that way. San Francisco 49ers. Boy, did they lose a lot of people. We're not going to go over that list, but they bring in Mac Jones and Demarcus Robinson, former Rams receiver. Don't really have a whole lot of good news for you guys. They have him at a D. I agree. D minus maybe. You lost a lot. You don't have a lot. They'll get a lot of comp picks next season, and they have a couple this year. But aside from that, not addressing the holes that you currently have, it's a little rough for me. All right, Seattle Seahawks. They bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They bring in tackle Josh Jones, who I am not a fan of. I think he's a revolving door of a tackle. Ernest Jones the fourth. I think that's huge. For some reason, they have Geno Smith on this list. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Geno Smith.
That doesn't make any sense.
But they bring in DeMarcus Lawrence, who I know you guys are huge fans of. Big DeMarcus Lawrence fans in this chat right now.
No, I'm not a D-Law fan.
Yeah, no, they are very salty with D-Law and his comments about the Cowboys. And then you go out and you bring in the best available quarterback in free agency in Sam Darnold. You get him on a steal, in my opinion. It's a $37 million first year and then zero guaranteed money after that. After the first year, you can walk from Sam Darnold with no money tied up in it. I think that's a great deal for the Hawks. You get him at $37 million a year for the first year, which I thought was a $38 to $40 million guy. I like it. I like everything about it. I think the Ernest Jones and the Darnold deal are the best. I like the MVS deep threat. DeMarcus Lawrence, I know you guys aren't a huge fan. He can still play to a rotational level. B minus. I could give him a B. I could go with a B. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm good with B minus.
I mean, I could see the B. I think they did just fine.
Okay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers get an A minus. They bring in Greg Gaines, 1 year, $35 million deal. Not gonna break the bank. Not gonna make a huge impact. They lock up their punter. Chris Godwin comes back, huge. He's turned down some extra money to go back and play for $7-8 million less a year to be in Tampa Bay. They bring in former Eagle Hassan Reddick. I think it's a good deal. 1 year, $14 million. Play a huge role in that defense. They re-signed Levante David, and that's huge for them. 1 year, $10 million. I like it. I like everything about it. A-. I would give him an A, just straight up. I don't think there's any downside to this. You got Godwin on a better deal. Reddick can still play. He had a down year with the Jets, but I think he can still play. Levante David, key guy on your defense. I love everything about it. Thoughts? All right. Tennessee Titans here. They got Draymond Jones, not 1 year, $10 million. Comes in as an edge rusher, can be a rotational guy. I like it. Van Jefferson, former Cowboy Xavier Woods comes in on a 2 year, $10 million. I like that. He can be a Band-Aid fix safety. He's not going to be an all-pro or a Pro Bowler, but he's going to be a guy who can go out and play legitimate snaps and be part of a good team. Cody Barton as linebacker, I really like him. Tackle Dan Moore, I'm not a fan of that. Won't lie to you there. I think that's up there with the Packers and their guard signing. I don't like it at all. But they bring in Blake Hance, who can be a backup in a pinch, and Kevin Zeitler, who I do like a lot. He's a Band-Aid fix guy that will come in and play at a high level at guard and do a good job of protecting a most likely rookie quarterback next season. So they get a C-. I'd give them a C+. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I could definitely give it a C+. Thoughts?
C-.
Yeah, I could see a little bit higher than a C-. They signed a bunch of guys here. They're definitely trying to make some changes. They
addressed holes. They didn't do it as well as they could have, but they went out and addressed holes. They could have done it better, but they definitely did it. The Washington Commanders, obviously they trade for Deebo Samuel. They go out and they get Javon Kinlaw, which I really liked. He had a down year, but I really do like him still. Laramie Tunsil trade, just shore up that left tackle spot. It's a lot of money, but you're given a franchise left tackle now. Go get Marcus Mariota to back you up, a guy who can run your system. If Jaden Daniels were to go down, he can run it in a similar way. Will Harris at safety is fine. Dedrick Wise Jr. at edge, I'm not huge on. I think it's an average deal. Jonathan Jones at cornerback, I think that's a great depth piece at corner. Can come in, give your guys a break, for a couple plays here and there, and not give up a touchdown every play. And then Noah Brown comes back. I like everything about it. They didn't really, they made some big moves, and they didn't give up any big moves necessarily. So I like pretty much everything about that list. And that's the full Pro Football Focus list of all the free agency grades. What do you guys think? You guys had anything that stood out to you? Anything major?
No objections, man. Just got a lot of high expectations for some of these teams that have high grade.
I forgot to mention Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz in the Commanders. They got Bobby Wagner re-signed, and obviously Zach Ertz is there. So, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned those two because they're both good players. So, but yeah, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed listening to us ramble about free agency. We got tons of stuff coming up on the channel. It's going to be a good off season. Looking forward to it, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
See ya.